Over 20 years ago, when I was attached to the Office of Naval Intelligence, I saw top secret documents that told me a lot about what was going to happen in the future. I've made quite a few predictions over the last 5 years, all of which have come true exactly when I said that they would. I'm the only one in the United States, and even the world, as a matter of fact, who has a 100% accuracy rate on predicting future world events.
see the ending of the Olympic Games in 1984?
Yes.
You should get a tape of the closing ceremony. It was heard at night in the UFO.
A spacecraft held by a helicopter.
Well, it wasn't held by a helicopter. There was no helicopter up there holding this thing. They'll tell you that, but it's not true. Can you imagine the liability that they would have if they were carrying this thing suspended on a cable underneath a helicopter over the heads of hundreds of thousands of people? They wouldn't do
You're
it.
meaning to say that that thing used in the 1984 Olympics, the closing ceremony,
Was under its own power.
was under its own power?
Yes,
That's fascinating, with these laser lights dancing out of it?
that's right. There was no helicopter. There was no cable.
Whoa, that is heavy news. Now,
something's going to happen here now. Here comes the spaceship. You believe this? Now, most of the crowd just beginning to see it now. Oh, it's several hundred feet high still. Trumpets and the lights signaling to the spaceship giving its return signal. Friend or foe?
In the UFO.
A spacecraft held by a helicopter.
Well, it wasn't held by a helicopter. There was no helicopter up there holding this thing. They'll tell you that, but it's not true. Can you imagine the liability that they would have if they were carrying this thing suspended on a cable underneath a helicopter over the heads of hundreds of thousands of people? They wouldn't do
You're
it.
meaning to say that that thing used in the 1984 Olympics, the closing ceremony,
Was under its own power.
was under its own power?
Yes,
That's fascinating, with these laser lights dancing out of it?
that's right. I have found now 3 books, official NASA publications, published by NASA, printed by the United States Government Printing Office, that shows the things on the moon. They were hard to find because when NASA discovered that they had published books with this information in it, they pulled them. They sent agents out and pulled them all out of libraries and out of bookstores and everywhere. But I knew that you couldn't pull every one of them, and we finally located a copy of each one of these 3 books. I'm going to be showing slides today.
So you photographed all the good pictures.
We photographed the cover of the book, the fly page that said it was printed by the U.S. Government Printing Office. We have photographed the pictures in the book. You're going to see pyramids on the moon, pyramids on Mars, agricultural terracing on Mars, the face on Mars. You're going to see tanks and towers and a Christian cross on the moon. You're going to see a World War II bomber lying beside a crater on the moon.
A B-59, I heard it was.
Well, it looks like a B-24, actually. It looks like a Liberator B-24
yeah.
bomber.
Okay.
You're going to see mining machines. You're going to see something, a machine in a crater throwing dirt out of the crater over the rim. You're going to see domes, 4 domes all lined up in a row in the crater Kepler.
You would say, Bill, that almost every one of the astronauts who went to the moon has seen something.
Oh, of course. And well, it looks like a B-24, actually. It looks like a Liberator B-24
yeah.
bomber.
Okay.
Beyond the believability that all they did was make a trip to the moon and see a bunch of rocks.
But right now that they seem...
Beyond the believability that all they did was make a trip to the moon and see a bunch of rocks.
But right now that they seem...
Beyond the believability that all they did was make a trip to the moon and see a bunch of rocks.
But right now that they seem...
That's what's happening. That's why cancer cures are suppressed. is because they fully intend to kill a minimum of 2 billion people by the year 2000. AIDS is an invention of man. It is not a natural disease, and it has been implemented and placed into the population as a population control. And when they did it, they had the cure before they did it. Mm-hmm. And when they've deemed that enough people have died or been killed, they will say, we have a cure for AIDS. I tell you now here, and remember that I have been the most accurate in making predictions about future world events than anyone in the history of the world, based upon study and knowledge, not psychic ability, not any gift given to me from God, although I am a messenger, I can assure you of that.
Now, if you think I'm crazy, get off your butt and start digging, because you will find out that it's absolutely true.